We're back with part 2 of our dating Q&A with John, Taylor, Marie, Gert, Susan, and Brad. I suck with names. I'm really happy I just did that. Woo! So we're going to dive right back in. Would highly encourage you to go watch part 1 if you have not done so yet. For the next question, how do you know if someone is the one? Let's hear it, John.
We have a ruffled feather.
I think that I am not entirely sure that there is the one. And I don't mean that in the sense that God doesn't know and doesn't already have a plan for your life and that sort of thing. But I think when, like, finding Taylor and her finding me, if there's a match made in heaven, I feel that way sometimes. Then there's other times where, you're like, oh my gosh, like we definitely did not know what we were doing when we got married, and you have these thoughts. I think every couple does, where you feel like you married wrong, and you're so different from each other.
Never happened.
Never happened. Yeah.
Never happened.
But the one, I think, is sort of setting you up for a lot. Well, we were talking about managing expectations, and I think having the one mentality is like you're marrying Jesus, and like you're sorry, but you're not. Like I'm going to try to be like him, but I am not him. And there's a lot of things that come with, I think, the idea of the one that end up setting up your expectations for a perfection in your relationship rather than a real human being that you're about to get married to, that you're going to have to work hard and you're going to have to be committed to, and it's going to take a lot of work, and you're going to have days where it's really, it just does not feel like the one, and you feel like the 40th, or whatever. Like there's I'm just kidding.
Well, and I will add to that and share. I mean, the first 3 years that Brad and I were married were kind of rough, and we weren't spiritually mature, and we were both believers. But, after about the third year, I was like, what in the world have I done? That's not saying anything bad about Brad, but it was just like our personalities were just so different, and we were trying to learn each other, and we would be irritated with each other, and then we would purposefully irritate each other. You don't do that. And so I was like, Lord, I thought this was who you wanted me to marry. I prayed for this person. I prayed about this person. He prayed about me. We asked the Lord, is this what you want? And we both thought he said yes. Well, he did. 39 years later, he did. Right. However, I don't expect Brad to be Jesus. And I probably did at first. I wanted the perfect husband and never to have an argument and the Leave It to Beaver kind of, thing that you see. And that's just so fake. Yeah. That's not real relationship. And I think when you're trying to figure out, is this the one? I'm like Jonathan, don't know that there is the one, but I do know that the Lord brought Brad and I together, and he ordained our marriage, and we're married till the end. That's right. Divorce is not a part of our relationship, of our, vocabulary. And I mean, I'm not saying that you can't be divorced. I understand there are reasons, but we prayed for each other, and
I was just going to say, to be dealing with emotions about this, as far as knowing which one's the one, I wanted to talk to her after I met her like every day. And I thought, this has got to be the girl. This is the one, right? And every time I'm working, I'm going, when's I'm going to get off to work so I can go be with her, right? And you say, well, that's not really an application. It is, but it's only a part of it. It's a little small piece. But you have to have a desire, and I think God gives you that desire. And you go, yeah, I want to hang out with that person. And it get more and more and more, and we would sit there and talk till we didn't have nothing to talk about. And you go, I think I'll call you tomorrow. yeah, okay. You know, and it's realistic, but we got to know each other that way too.
And then we got married and found out we didn't know each other.
Yes. It's a whole nother person.
You
there.
know, you know.
Yeah.
When they got curlers in the hair and a mud mask, and little things you don't know.
I think not that you have to hang your hat on, so to speak, but there are certain red flags that you should be careful about before you enter.
Yeah.
You know, to define the one, as we talk, I mean, it's probably, there's no such thing, you know. So, but red flags is if close friends of yours and loving family around you disapprove of your choice, it at least should make you pause, because once you're in a relationship, you may be emotional, you may be, you can't think straight, you have rose-colored lens glasses on. So with people around you is giving you pause, stop, and listen.
Yeah. I think part of being a mature Christian is having people pouring into your life. And I think that includes in dating and in marriage, is to have wise people pouring into your life. Because we all can get blinded by emotions, by desires, all these different things that can all blind us. So we need people, godly, wise people in our lives.
Yeah. I had lunch with a young man today. We were talking about the difference between, I said there's two ways you can make a decision. You have wisdom, which is universally accessible and more objective in nature. And then there's the Holy Spirit, who speaks much more subjectively into your specific situation. And I said, you need to grow in both of those things, where you're listening to the Holy Spirit, but you're also growing in wisdom. And it will be unwise for you, like we've talked about, to be with an unbeliever if you're a believer. It would be unwise for you to think that the one is someone who has a very horrible temper, and you think you're going to change that. Yeah. It would be unwise for you to be in a relationship with somebody who lacks self-control, and who has difficulty in relationships. So there are things that wisdom can help you with, and then there's things that the Holy Spirit's going to help you with. And when you begin to ask Him, Lord, who is this person right for me? And there's peace behind that thought. That will carry you very far. Even if there are things that you have, differences. Of course, you're going to be different. I mean, there's a lot that no person's perfect, and the fact is, we all marry wrong in one way or another because we're all messed up.
So along those lines, how long do you think a couple should be dating before they get married?
3
Or what are
Is that what it was?
3 weeks.
Is that what it was?
We dated 4 years. He wanted to do it after 3 weeks, but we had to.
like, what are signs of, okay, I know we're ready?
Well, when I met John, I knew I was going to marry him about the time I met him, very shortly after that. But he did not agree with that yet because I was a little bit young when we met. But I think the Lord just very clearly revealed to me that I was supposed to marry him. And it took some convincing.
It took some time for me.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Recommended time is really hard because, like my parents, I think they dated for 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
But they were in their late 30s.
Yeah.
And so they were very ready to settle down and get married. Somebody in their teens or young might want to take a little bit more time to think about your life and your future and the path ahead. You might need some more time to think through that. Ultimately, you're making a decision that's going to affect the rest of your life. You really don't want to take it lightly. And as amazing as it is to see my parents like 40 years later, and they love each other and are committed to each other off of a short period of time like that, that's not the norm. I wouldn't think. I think most people, it takes time to really get to know the other person, and you want to have a pretty sure idea of that person before you really make the leap.
With that, though, we dated for 4 years. And we were engaged for like a year and a half of that, which I don't recommend. I don't recommend being engaged for that long. Shorter engagements. Shorter.
Well, I can say, I to this day can't explain it, but the day I met Marie, I knew that she's the one, and you can't ask me why. I don't know what it was. It must be well, I wasn't that spiritually mature then. So, but looking back, it must be the Holy Spirit that just.
Yeah.
For some reason, she intrigued me. And that peace part it is a big role.
Yeah.
And she's easy to love. So there we go. And I would want to say but the time I agree with John, you can't be a cookie cutter. You know,
Yeah.
people are different. Relationships are different.
Yeah.
We dated for 2 years before we get, but just because of necessity, I had to finish college and stuff, and so that was part of it.
I want to say that when we got married, we were both still in college. We were both finishing our last years of our courses. And it was good. It was good that we got married then. I think the tendency is there to wait until you're sure you can make it financially. And yes, you need to have responsibility there.
We were irresponsible.
We look back and we're like, we don't know
We don't know how
exactly
we
how
made
we
it.
did it. We didn't have income. We had some scholarship money. But it was really a good start, and we couldn't have waited any longer.
Yeah.